Today is June 1st. June is the month of the most sacred heart of Jesus. In other words, it's the month of God's unfathomable love. The heart of Jesus reveals to us, brings us the love of God. And during this month, it's good for us to get in touch with the deepest longing of our soul. Your soul was made for God. Your soul longs for God. Your soul will not be satisfied, will not find rest until it is filled with the utter fullness of God, filled with the love of God. And we see this in the psalm today. So beautiful. Check this out. You want to talk about the longing of the soul, someone who's awake. The psalmist says, "O God, you are my God, I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you as in a dry, weary land where there is no water. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. I will lift my hands and call on your name. My soul is satisfied as with a rich feast, and my mouth praises you with joyful lips." And every one of us, that's what's inside of us, a longing, a thirsting, a hunger. We were made for the love of God, to be filled with the love of God. Now, an example of this that ties into the month of June, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, is beautiful Saint Gemma Galgani. I don't know how many of you have heard of Saint Gemma. She's one of the great saints of our time. She died in 1903 at the age of 25, an Italian laywoman, great mystic. She's most known for being in the company, seeing her guardian angel, conversing with her guardian angel almost all the time, and all kinds of other mystical phenomena. But anyways, at the age of 9 years old, it says her father sent her as a half-boarder to finish her education at the renowned establishment in Lucca managed by the Sisters of Saint Zita. Now, I just heard the other day, maybe someone knows this, but it seems to me there's a saint, or they're going to canonize or beatify one of Saint Gemma's teachers. Have you heard about that? Maybe she's already a saint, but the point is Saint Gemma was under the care of holy nuns. And Saint Gemma, she wrote, "I began to go to the school of the sisters. I was in paradise," she wrote. And anyways, she's 9 years old. Back then, that was too young to receive her first Holy Communion. And it says, Gemma was then 9 years old, and already at that early age, her heart panted for Jesus. She longed to have him and repeatedly with tears besought her confessor for permission to make her first Holy Communion. Longing at the age of 9 with tears. She repeated her entreaties. "Give me Jesus," she would say, "and you will see how good I shall be. I shall be quite changed. I won't commit any more sins. Give him to me. I so long for him, and I cannot live without him." 9 years old. It says her confessor finally gave way at last to her repeated entreaties, so unusual in a child of her age. He assured her father of her great worthiness and said, "If we do not want our Gemma to die of longing, we must allow her to go to communion." So she wrote, he gave me, I guess the confessor gave me his consent in the evening, and early next morning I went to the convent and remained there 10 days. Back in the old days, you'd prepare for your first Holy Communion with a retreat with the sisters. 10 days. She says, "During that time I saw none of our family." See, I'm challenging the young men leaders in my youth group to spend 3 days alone in solitude. And, for some people that's, it's a big challenge, almost impossible. 9-year-old girl, 10 days in a convent without her family. She continues, "But oh, how happy I was. What a paradise. Immediately on entering the convent enclosure, I ran to the chapel to thank Jesus with all the earnestness I could command, implored of him to prepare me well for my Holy Communion. Then I felt rising in my heart an ardent desire to know in detail all the life and sufferings of Jesus. The author goes on, we have seen already how her pious mother initiated Gemma from her earliest years in meditating on the Passion. And then she continues to write, during her 10-day retreat to prepare for First Holy Communion, there was a preacher who was speaking about the Eucharist. She wrote, every day the good preacher used to say, whoever feeds on Jesus shall live of his life. She says, I almost died with longing to be able to say those words. Jesus lives in me. Sometimes I passed the whole night meditating on them, all inflamed with desire. And then finally she made her first Holy Communion. She says that was the 19th of June, 1887. Now I wrote a little note here, exclamation mark, reading this on June 19th at my camp. Isn't that cool? Anyways. After receiving her Holy Communion, she said, I felt more detached from the world and more than ever disposed to recollection. Now, she received her first Holy Communion on the feast of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, which, by the way, again, she was a mystic. She would go into ecstasy. She would talk to the Lord Jesus. And guess what Jesus called the month of June? My month. When he spoke with Gemma about June, he said, my month. June is Jesus' month, the month of his heart, of his infinite love. She used also every year to commemorate that great day of her first Holy Communion with special devotion and called it her feast day. She called the day she made her first Holy Communion her feast day. And she wrote to her spiritual director, my father, I don't know if you are aware that the feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also my feast day. And so, brothers and sisters, month of June is the month of the most Sacred Heart of Jesus. Open your heart to the heart of infinite love, and he will fill it. He will satisfy the deepest longings of your soul.